What's up, everybody? It's the Warrior Light. I wanted to make a quick video. I'm trying to keep this under 6 minutes. I have a lot to say, but we'll see. Sorry I haven't posted in a while. School's getting crazy. I'm trying to catch up so that I can enjoy Final Fantasy VII The First Soldier. We're going to see what happens there. Some quick comments on some of the negativity I've seen as this game has been marketed on Facebook and Twitter and different places, and some of the comments from fans in the franchise that have been saying this isn't a true Final Fantasy. People who like this thing are cancer to the franchise, yada yada. First off, Final Fantasy is not our own narrow conceptions of what we think it is. If you look over the years, going back, as someone who's in their 30s who played the original Final Fantasy VII in middle school and it's his favorite game, I don't mind this. Final Fantasy has changed and developed over the years. We've had everything from the traditional turn-based to active time battle to action and adventure in Crystal Chronicles and now 15 and 7. We've had strategy and tactics, which is, some people say, a lot of people in the fan base say that's the best Final Fantasy game ever. And it was different from the original in the style of game. It was a strategy. It wasn't a turn-based anymore. We have massive multiplayer online games 11 and 14, which is taking off. 14 is amazing now. We've had third-person shooters in Dirge of Cerberus. We've had fighting, gacha mobile games, side-scrolling brawlers, rhythm games, and now we have a battle royale, and people are losing their mind over it. And not to forget, you know, think of all the mini games inside every Final Fantasy game, which Final Fantasy VII had a lot. And if you're that troubled by this battle royale game, think of it as another mini game in the bigger Final Fantasy VII remake universe that you don't have to play. It's not going to add a bunch of elements to the story that you're going to miss out on if you don't. You really don't have to. I like this game. I got to do the beta test, and I thought it was a lot of fun. If you're saying, like, this isn't true Final Fantasy, like, what is? This thing had a ton of references that, as a fan of Final Fantasy for over 20 years, I saw a lot of things that reminded me of older games. This game pays homage, like more and more titles are starting to do in the franchise, to older entries into the series. In this game we have magic. Fire, blizzard, thunder, cure, gravity, arrow, bio, blind, raise, you even got comet. I mean, if you think, are summons Final Fantasy? That's something I always look forward to in a Final Fantasy game. Does this game have summons? I was disappointed when Final Fantasy X-2 got rid of them. But this game has summons. Ifrit, Shiva, Bahamut. It's got monsters that we're used to seeing. Bombs and Tonberries, which are classic, but even ones directly pulled from 7, like Hedgehog Pies and Windrakes. And we saw in the most recent trailer, there's Behemoths. There's bosses, Guard Scorpions. The Behemoth probably will be a boss. There's Chocobos, which weren't even in the original Final Fantasy. But that's an element that we all look forward to seeing in these games now. And there's even different kinds. I saw like yellow, black, and blue in different trailers. There's job classes, which has been a thing since Final Fantasy I, and a huge staple of the franchise. We have warrior, monk, rogue, ninja. There's leveling. You can level the jobs individually. You can level up the character as you kill monsters and defeat other enemies on the game field. There's all different kinds of references we see in the trailer to other games like Malboros, Cactuars, Red 13. There's job abilities that each class has it can use. You can equip accessories. There's a bunch of Final Fantasy VII references in the map that you battle on. You know, you can go into like Tifa's bar and everything. So, yeah, there's even this thing, the Street Sweeper, Guard Scorpion boss. Like, there's a lot to this game that I think if you're a fan of the franchise, you can like it. And for people saying like, well, we didn't ask for this, you know, just do what the fans are asking. You know, we didn't ask for Final Fantasy 13-2. Sorry, we didn't ask for Final Fantasy 13-2 either. And if you've played 13 and you've played 13-2, which was the better one? A lot of people would say 13-2. I tend to agree. I think 13-2 was the better, but I mean, nobody asked for a sequel to 13 probably, but it ended up being good. And I think a lot of things we haven't asked for over the years are good. That's the cool thing about Final Fantasy. It's always trying to reinvent itself and do new things. And for people being like, oh, they're just seeing the success of the Battle Royale and trying to capitalize on that, guess what they did with the very first Final Fantasy? They were trying to capitalize on the success of Dragon Warrior. We wouldn't even have Final Fantasy if it wasn't for that mindset of seeing something out there in the market and saying, like, how can we take this and make something good for our fans? And so I don't have a problem with the Battle Royale game. It's not even something you have to play. And for people with this narrow-minded view of what Final Fantasy is, not only did I go through a bunch of different genres of Final Fantasy games, but there's been movies. There's been animes, there's been mangas and novels and a trading card game. There's a lot of different things that have Final Fantasy brand attached to them. So it's more than what we think it might be, you know. And I think it's okay for other fans to enjoy this game. From somebody who beta tested it and is looking forward to playing it again, it was a lot of fun. And if it's not your bag, that's fine. I don't think it's cool to sit there and trash on a game that you're not going to play, or trash on a game that you haven't even played yet, or trash on other fans that say this is cool and they're interested in playing it. Like, let people enjoy things. You know what I mean? So that's my take. This game was a lot of fun. I would definitely download it. It's free to play with in-app purchases. You don't even have to buy anything to be able to play the game. So 100%, I think you should give this game a shot. Don't be so narrow-minded as to what you think a Final Fantasy game is. You should open yourself up. I gotta end this real quick because I'm running out of time. But I have a family member who's never played Final Fantasy at all, now interested in this game. So it's even drawing new fans into the franchise. Let's not ruin that for them. Anyways, this has been the Warrior of Light. Thank you guys for watching. And maybe we'll see you soon with some First Soldier content. Have a good one.